My return to Arcadia Bay was filled with an uneasy sense of uncertainty this time around. Deck 9 Studios has taken the reins of this prequel, and while Episode 1 of Before the Storm isn't perfect, it certainly captures the essence of Life is Strange. Where Life is Strange Season 1 followed the story of Max Caulfield, an awkward shutterbug, Before the Storm tells the story of Chloe Price, her longtime best friend. This prequel aims to fill in the blanks left by Season 1 and explain just what our favorite blue-haired misfit had been up to before Max's return to Arcadia Bay. For newcomers to the series, Life is Strange Before the Storm is a deep, dramatic introduction to Chloe Price. Having lost her father in a freak car accident and her best friend who recently moved away, Chloe is an angry, angsty teen. She often keeps to herself, smoking in her room or ditching school. She has trouble adjusting to a life without her father and one with her new stepfather. Frequently at odds with everyone around her, including her own mother, Chloe is a loner. She doesn't fit in well at home or school and seems to have no one to confide in after she becomes estranged from her best friend Max. However, all of this changes quite rapidly as she meets a girl who is seemingly her polar opposite. Popular and successful both socially and academically, Rachel Amber seems to be everything that Chloe is not, and yet somehow she draws out all the characteristics Chloe wished she possessed herself. It's this delicate dance of personalities that drives the premiere episode. Rachel Amber is not all she seems either. She masks a deep pain and her own familial issues with an overachieving persona. Players will navigate this rapidly budding relationship that will change both of these characters forever. While the original season of Life is Strange tackled a wider range of characters, Deck 9 has intelligently honed in on the characters who are central to the series itself. Rachel Amber was a key character of Life is Strange, even though you never actually met her. In Before the Storm, however, Rachel takes center stage as one of the main characters, and her relationship with Chloe is intense and incredibly illuminating. We learn a great deal of new information about Chloe through their interactions, and see how one of our favorite characters came to be. The tranquil visuals of entries past are on full display in this prequel. Arcadia Bay's more open settings take center stage as we spend less time in student dorms or the halls of Blackwell Academy, Chloe's school. Instead, we visit locales like the junkyard that become so integral to the series, lush parks, and verdant forests. The warm, inviting visuals fans have come to know and love are more beautiful than ever. A noticeable improvement in facial animation also serves to draw a greater emotional response from the player. The musical score has become just as integral to Life is Strange as its unique visual style. Players will find, however, that the melancholy indie sound of Season 1 has been swapped with a more angsty, grungy sound this time. This serves as another reminder that this is no longer the story of Max Caulfield, but of Chloe Price. During more emotional scenes, the change in score elevated the emotion and connected the player to Chloe. You could feel her loneliness in the songs that she chose to listen to. Changing such a fundamental part of the player experience was a bit of a gamble, but it pays off well in its execution. For those familiar with the series, not much has changed. Players will find detailed spaces packed to the brim with other characters and clickables. Interacting with these objects will give you further context and background and a glimpse into Chloe's sarcastic psyche. Meaningful choices have made a return in Before the Storm, although this is the premiere episode, and the full weight of many of our choices won't be felt just yet. Time travel, a huge part of Life is Strange Season 1, is absent here as Chloe doesn't possess Max's power. However, Deck 9 has introduced backtalk challenges. These are simple speech puzzles where players must select a proper scathing and often sarcastic response before a timer runs out. Although I found this mechanic a bit overly simplistic and counterintuitive, in a game where words and actions are meant to carry weight and be taken with careful consideration. However, this choice does coincide well with a main character who often speaks in anger before she thinks. While there's much to like in Before the Storm, all of this praise doesn't come without criticism. Life is Strange is a mixture of the mundane and the fantastic, the realistic and the overblown. This is reflected not only in its narrative and gameplay mechanics, but also in its writing. At times, dialogue felt stiff or downright cringeworthy, at other times incredibly charming and fun. On the topic of the game's writing, pacing seemed to be a bit of an issue with Before the Storm, and it's one that can be understood. By design, Chloe and Rachel are meant to have a deep and explosive personal connection referenced in the original series, and due to the shortened format, 3 episodes as opposed to the original 5, this results in faster pacing. However, judging Episode 1 by its own merits, pacing varied wildly both in the game's narrative and the development of relationships within the cast. From a gameplay perspective, I found camera angles a bit more finicky in Before the Storm, often breaking immersion. Odd graphical quirks like momentary shading and lighting issues also provided a distraction during some pretty important scenes. Having said that, the most important scenes in Episode 1 are delivered perfectly. Moments of intense pain, anger, and hope come across in a deeply meaningful way. I found myself pausing or putting down my controller to contemplate what I had just seen. We play witness to the death of Chloe's innocence, often helping her kill past parts of herself. We watch and even get to choose as she tears down her childhood posters and scribbles terribly depressing or cynical things across her walls, each small detail extremely telling, letting players feel her emotion. Chloe spends her nights getting drunk and her days getting high, and seems to be angry at everyone around her. We witness the death of her innocence and her terrible struggle coping with a world that no longer seems fair. She tries to face an adult world with only the tools that her childhood has afforded her. Watching Rachel and Chloe bring out the best and worst in each other is a dangerous dance that's intriguing to witness. Episode 1, Before the Storm, did not disappoint. Returning fans will find the same Arcadia Bay they've grown to love, and that our favorite characters have grown to hate. The dramatic storytelling that is synonymous with Life is Strange delivers gut-wrenching moments of sadness, eye-opening moments of introspection, and brilliant moments of suspense. New players will be met with an interesting cast of characters and an engrossing narrative. Our first glimpse into the adventures of Chloe Price and Rachel Amber will leave players both new and old chomping at the bit for more.